not yet, no? But I see that on many of your places there is no device for translation. There is simultaneous translation, so maybe you approach already the technology there to fetch your device. But before the French presentation, there will first be the presentation of Mr. Trevor Thomson from Grenada. He is a land use officer at the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands, Forestry and Fishery. You want to stay there, or
no, I'll stay here.
You also do it from your place? Please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to all of you that are here. I'm from Grenada. It's a very small island in the Caribbean. It's only 344 square kilometers, and approximately 108,000 people live in there. The development of our national drought plan was guided by a number of policy documents that included the draft agriculture drought management plan, which was put together by the Ministry of Agriculture in 2016 after experiencing a number of short droughts from 2009. Then we had a gender equality policy and action plan, which was completed by the government in 2014. And of course, our national climate change policy, our national communications, which were reviewed in 2017. And these all indicated that water was one of the most vulnerable sectors to be impacted by climate change. And it also required urgent action. During the review of our national water policy and draft legislation, which was begun in 2017, we had a number of public consultations. And coming out of the public consultation, it was clear that the public was demanding that there be action with regards to water. So when the UNCCD started the DROUGHT initiative, Grenada applied as one of the few SIDS, small island developing states, to access the funding to do the DROUGHT plan. And Grenada was successful. And we started the process of developing our DROUGHT plan using the guidance that was provided by UNCCD in collaboration with WMO and Global Water Partnership. Now, what I have come to realize from being involved in the process is that developing a national DROUGHT plan is not a top-down approach, but a bottom-up approach involving all stakeholders, including farmers, youths, the CSOs, NGOs, government ministries and departments, the National Water Authority, private sector water bottlers. We have a number of them doing business in Grenada. The people involved in recreation, the security services, because they play a critical role when we have drought, when we enact legislation that requires the police to monitor the use of private homeowners' use of water, the National Disaster Management Agencies, the media, which is critical in communicating the message that we want the public to understand, the commercial water haulers or truckers, people who distribute water as a private service to hotels and homeowners. They were all involved in the process. And in fact, when we were preparing the list of stakeholders to invite to the consultations, we realized that we had over 60 entities that were actively involved in some way in the use of water. And for a small island, that is a large number. So it shows you that you cannot just focus on technical people or policymakers when you're talking about drought management. You have to have the public involved from the beginning. And that is the method, the approach we took when we were developing our plan. In fact, in communicating with the consultant, I said to him, I don't want a technical document that will sit on the shelf. I want a document that any school could take and discuss and see how it could be applied for the management of water resources in the schools, for the management of water resources in the hospital, for the management of water resources in a hotel. A hotelier can take up the document and look at it and understand what we are seeking to communicate. So our drought plan was not focusing on its impact on sector or activity or region, but for the entire country. And Grenada comprised of many islands, but there are 3 main inhabited islands. And 2 of those inhabited islands do not have any permanent streams or rivers. The people there rely on rainwater harvesting for their supply throughout the year. So the 4 areas of focus was those 2 offshore islands, which are called Carriacou and Petit Martinique, and then the Water Authority as the public water supplier, and then 2 critical sectors that were agriculture and tourism. And myself and the consultant had a tussle over that, because I said there's absolutely no way you can prepare a drought plan and not give some emphasis on tourism, which is our main revenue generator, but also our largest consumer of domestic water. So he agreed because we saw it as a main economic driver. And if a drought were to have an impact, it will, in fact, affect a lot of other people's livelihoods. And that is one of the things you have to focus on, that you're seeking to manage drought, that the impacts on livelihoods will be reduced. So we had a number of public consultations, and also we had sector-specific consultations where the hoteliers were met with as a group to discuss if they ever thought about having a plan, if they had developed one, what did it contain, etc. We also had a number of questionnaires that was designed specifically for teachers in schools, for the water truckers and haulers in terms of their approach and response to drought. So coming out of the consultation, we took the approach that we were going to have a broad national objectives, which of course would require policymakers to have some input in. But then out of those, we had very sector-specific objectives, focusing on how to meet the needs of key sectors and entities. And then out of those, the identification of key stakeholders came that then separated the consideration for key entities. And out of that, we then assigned responsibility to key stakeholders, because there's absolutely no way a drought plan will work if sectors and entities does not take responsibility. The government cannot take the responsibility to do everything. You, as a tourism sector, you have a responsibility. If you want to have a supply of water, you have to become proactive. Same with the agricultural sector. The ministry and its staff has a critical role to play in this whole management of drought. Field observation. The extension officers has to be in the field to monitor what is happening in the field, because doing a prediction or an outlook is one thing. So what is happening on the ground is the most important thing that will tell you the severity of your drought. And then we had a massive workshop where we brought all of this information to the stakeholders for their validation. And out of that, we then had firm commitments by them, by each sector, to say what they will be responsible for, including the role of the media, national security, tourism, disaster management, etc. And many people ask, well, why you include national security? Normally in a drought you have bushfires, and the firefighting services, they consume a huge amount of water to fight bushfires. So they have to play a role in this whole thing, as well as the social impact when trucks come to deliver water, etc., and you have people beginning to fight, etc. You need security. So it's important that you consider all sectors' role in that. And one of the things that we also factored into our national drought plan was the issue of integrated water resources management, IWRM. And the GWP focus that it has to be one of the strategies used for managing the resource. So during a drought, managing the resources is absolutely important. But also before the drought, once the predictions comes from the regional drought monitoring network, that in the next couple of months we expect to see a reduction in precipitation, we have to begin to plan. And because Grenada relies on surface water, over 90% of our water is surface water, gravity fed. It's important that we manage the resources surrounding water. And so forestry has a critical role to play, agriculture, of course, and we also understand that when we finish develop the plan, having an implementation plan is just as important. The DROUGHT plan is important, so along with the DROUGHT plan, you need an implementation plan. And that was one of the final things that we requested the consultant to do. You must give us an implementation plan and some kind of indicative costs as to how much it will cost to implement this DROUGHT plan. So I want to say that the public is aware of what is happening in terms of climate change and its impacts. And we have seen that oftentimes we as technical officers produce brilliant documents, but it's not implemented. And that's because the public is not making a demand for change. So we are beginning to feel pressure now as technical officers because the public is demanding that the DROUGHT plan that they participated in preparing be implemented. So we are certain that we will see action by the politicians because they respond to public pressure more than technical pressure. I'll stop here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for that overview. We have the last presentation in French. I hope you have your devices now ready. Mr. Apollinaire Nyanvi from Benin. He is the Director General of the National Fund for Environment and Climate. And you have a presentation?
Merci beaucoup. La politique nationale de lutte contre la sécheresse et le plan national de sécheresse du Bénin est le résultat d'une analyse experte qui a tenu compte des domaines économiques, sociaux, politiques, environnementaux, culturels et technologiques. Et l'approche genre se positionne de façon transversale par rapport à tous ces domaines-là. De façon spécifique, on a mis au centre l'eau et la gestion de l'eau, au centre de l'élaboration de ce plan sécheresse, et il adresse, du moins l'eau adresse les domaines clés, sensibles, n'est-ce pas, la gestion durable des terres et l'agriculture. Donc je vais alors vous livrer ici, dans une première partie, nous allons parler de la préparation aux situations de sécheresse. Nous allons également parler de l'analyse de vulnérabilité et le mécanisme de gestion des risques, et ensuite suivra les recommandations. Alors, en guide d'introduction, le plan national de sécheresse du Bénin est un outil de gestion des risques de sécheresse. Cet outil... Vous avez vous pouvez... Je peux les slides? D'accord. OK. Donc, je disais qu'en guise d'introduction, le plan national de sécheresse du Bénin est un outil de gestion des risques de sécheresse. Et ce plan décrit les occurrences historiques, les statistiques climatologiques et l'évaluation des risques de susceptibilité et de vulnérabilité, ainsi qu'une méthode d'identification des impacts potentiels. Ce plan propose un mécanisme de prévention, de riposte multi-acteurs et multi-échelle dans les processus d'alerte précoce et de gestion des catastrophes. Nous avons dit tout à l'heure que nous avons fait une analyse experte, et cette analyse experte a permis de déterminer les vulnérabilités actuelles et futures par secteur. Et ce sont ces vulnérabilités-là qui ont été analysées, et on a proposé des mécanismes structurants et d'investissement pour atteindre les actions qui ont été planifiées dans ce plan. Donc, également, il faut noter que ce plan est une porte d'entrée, une porte d'entrée pour l'atteinte des objectifs de développement durable. Donc, il s'agit d'analyser les différentes politiques, stratégies, lois et règlements sur l'eau et les autres secteurs stratégiques, notamment les changements climatiques, l'agriculture et la gestion foncière. Parce que lorsque nous avons fait l'analyse de la vulnérabilité, on a constaté qu'il y a tellement de documents qui ont été élaborés au plan national. Il s'agit des documents stratégiques, mais la mise en œuvre de ces documents stratégiques-là a posé problème du fait de l'organisation institutionnelle de ces différents secteurs qui doivent conduire, n'est-ce pas, l'opérationnalisation et la mise en œuvre de ces documents. Donc, il s'agit de déterminer les insuffisances dans la mise en œuvre des documents stratégiques et analyser les forces, faiblesses du cadre institutionnel de gestion des ressources en eau. Alors, par rapport à la préparation aux situations de sécheresse, 3 champs d'action ont été identifiés. Et ces champs d'action ont permis d'évaluer le profil de risque des communautés. Il s'agit de voir les causes de la vulnérabilité, sévérité de la sécheresse et cartographier les points sensibles à la sécheresse. Au plan 2, il s'agit d'améliorer la prévision de la sécheresse et l'accès à des données sûres et mises à jour. En 3, de renforcer l'accès à l'eau, diminuer la demande en eau, souscrire à des assurances récoltes et construire des capacités politiques. L'analyse de la vulnérabilité a permis de dégager la vulnérabilité climatique. Et lorsqu'on fait l'analyse de la vulnérabilité climatique, nous nous rendons compte qu'il s'agit alors d'une sécheresse météorologique. Ensuite, nous avons le déficit hydrique du sol et cette analyse nous renvoie à la sécheresse agricole. Et ensuite, nous avons la sécheresse hydrologique parce que l'agriculture a rapport avec l'eau et la sécheresse écologique. Il s'agit d'apprécier les écosystèmes qui permettent, n'est-ce pas, à l'eau de produire les éléments nutritifs pour l'agriculture. Et lorsqu'on fait l'agrégat de toutes ces sécheresses, à savoir la sécheresse écologique, la sécheresse hydrologique, la sécheresse agricole et la sécheresse météorologique, nous avons la sécheresse socio-économique. Parce que ici, on positionne l'humain au centre de ces différentes sécheresses et les influences, les impacts que pourraient produire ces différentes sécheresses sur le développement socio-économique du milieu. Ceci a permis de dégager les impacts écologiques, les impacts sociaux et les impacts environnementaux. Alors, la carte qui suit nous permet de faire une catégorisation des niveaux de vulnérabilité. Donc, la partie que vous avez en rouge montre quand même que la vulnérabilité est très forte dans la région de la Liborie. Il s'agit de la région du Nord Bénin. Et ensuite, nous avons la vulnérabilité forte. Il s'agit de la région des collines, des plateaux, du Koufo et un peu la région qui a un lien avec l'Atlantique. Ensuite, nous avons les vulnérabilités modérées. Il s'agit de la zone du plateau de l'Atlantique. Et la vulnérabilité faible, il s'agit de la Donga, qui est également une zone septentrionale du Bénin. Alors, à l'issue de la présentation de cette cadre, nous avons prévu le mécanisme de gestion. Et ce mécanisme de gestion positionne la météo Bénin, le ministère de l'Enseignement supérieur et de la Recherche scientifique, le ministère du cadre de vie et du développement durable et le ministère du plan et du développement, le ministère des mines et de la gestion de l'eau. Nous avons le plan national de gestion des risques et des catastrophes, les services de production, les services de communication, les services de soins et de prévention, les services secours et assistance, les services d'infrastructure, le point focal, tous ces éléments, avec une approche qui a mis l'accent sur les populations et les mesures de prévention de gestion des risques. Cette approche positionne la population et permet à cette population de développer les options d'adaptation pour faire face aux risques de sécheresse. Alors, à l'issue de ce plan, nous avons les recommandations. On a des recommandations à court terme, les recommandations à moyen terme et les recommandations à long terme sur lesquelles nous pouvons revenir par la suite. En conclusion, les actions proposées pourront permettre d'atténuer les risques de sécheresse et le renforcement des capacités d'adaptation des communautés vulnérables. Ainsi, la même priorité serait accordée au risque de la sécheresse comme elle est actuellement pour les risques de l'inondation. Je vous remercie pour votre attention.
Yeah, excellent. I think one of the first things that we can already say these countries have done a tremendous work. I think with a few external funding, these plans seem to be very comprehensive already. Technically also, sometimes you see that participation was very intensive. I would have a lot of questions. For example, how can you compare a large country like Colombia, and how do you achieve participation as in Grenada, where you maybe can address every individual concerned by drought? So how, for me, a lot of questions would remain in comparing these and for drawing larger conclusions. I would now give you the floor. Maybe you should also aim a little bit at not asking individual country questions on the particular ecological or drought situations, but on the efforts of planning, how they are useful, how it should go on, what are the experiences, what maybe also further support is needed, so that we really work on or discuss here on in line with the Drought Day, which tries to find new roles or continuous roles for UNCCD and for the countries to work on their drought plans. You have the floor now. And I've already seen one person there. You present yourself, and do we have a microphone? Do we have a microphone? One moment. Not here, but down there.
So I work for the Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change here in India. My question is actually open to all the panelists here. So past few days, we have on and off heard about ways and means to tackle degradation, droughts, deforestation and stuff, desertification. Sorry. So when you talk about that, we talk about issues like finance, we talk about technology, we talk about innovation. So I wish to know, according to my understanding, these are all long-term measures. When you say finance, capacity building, international cooperation, so on and so forth. So I pick up from the last presentation that was made, and I really need to sort of know what are the short-term measures that we have in place. You know, of course, we all know that, you know, we need finance, we need technology transfer, and we need research. But for developing countries, for least developed countries, for states, small island, you know, states, what are those short-term measures that are in place that people can, and governments and organizations in different parts can pick up and move from there and thereafter sort of build on that mechanism and model? Thank you.
Thank you. Very good question. I had a question here, this gentleman, and then it is you. You have another one? Yeah.
Thank you, the panelists. What is the potential of restoration and networking of water bodies across the world? Should I repeat the question? Potential of restoration and networking of water bodies across the world